send it out and people would buy it by the millions, they realized they had something. And that diminished over the years, but it's been something that's been out there for a long time. However, for movies that only have scores, I think what's surprising is what you'll see is that those things sold very, very well additionally, and that somebody like John Williams goes to really push forward the agenda of classical music. I know that it's not classical. I know that strictly speaking, that definition doesn't fit. But John Williams drives appreciation for classical music in ways that I think most people probably underestimate. I know that when you have to go to a Pops concert to see Star Wars music, I understand that. But I think a lot of people including myself, really got into a lot of classical music because we heard some of the scores that were released. And Jurassic Park was one of the first I remember that the score, not songs, it doesn't have a hit song like Celine Dion or anything on it. It's just got the score, and it sold like wildfire. The Jurassic Park soundtrack and score just sold like amazingly after the movie came out. And the reason why, I think, is because it's such an incredibly good score. It does the work of reliving all of the emotions of the movie. It does the work of bringing you back into the lives of the characters, of moments in the film. It does all of that just by listening to it. And I think that's what an ideal film score should do. And to talk for a second about the music, as I said, the themes in Jurassic Park are strong, they are powerful, they are huge, they are wondrous. John Williams is a master of being able to express the feeling that one would get standing on the ground and staring up at a giant brontosaurus, right? He just has that quality in ways that I'm not sure I've ever heard from anyone else. And I think there are so many other composers we could talk about, but I'm not sure any of them can really equal that that emotion specifically is just amazing. I think Elfman comes close, but I think that there are just some amazing things that John Williams does that are so unique to his own talents. All right, so that's my opinion about it. Discuss as you will. As always, you're free to send me an email at commodore128@clanofthegraywolf.com. Or you can send me a private message via the site if you have a registration on the site, which any of you that have posted comments do. So if you want to talk to me that way, you can, and many of you already do. So as I was saying, a lot of things happened this week. And we saw that there are two competing philosophies for smartphones. Don't worry, I'm not going to ask about smartphones. But I just want to bring this out, right? You have Apple on one hand, which really seems to be thinking along the lines of your cell phone, which is a very sophisticated gadget, should actually act somewhat like a personal assistant, right? And then you have on the other side, you've got Android, and you have Andy Rubin at the Asia D conference this week saying that he doesn't think that your phone should, this very complex device, he doesn't think it should resemble a personal assistant. And that there are other kinds of ways that it should be utilized. You have two very competing ideologies there. That got me thinking about the things that we do use on a day-to-day basis that really affect the way that our lives are lived. And one of the ways I think you can argue that really distinguishes man from the rest of the animals in the world is how we like to separate ourselves from the world around us via our own inventions and our own tools. We almost like to kind of set ourselves apart from nature. At least that's one viewpoint. But anyway, it got me thinking about, I know cell phones and on the phones that we have right now are very, very high-tech devices. But I started to think, there are a lot of low-tech devices out there that somebody 100 years ago looks at and would think it was either space-aged or just a tremendously great improvement upon technology that they had at the time. And I started to think to myself, a lot of those devices and gadgets, whether they're electronic or they're completely mechanical, doesn't make any difference. Those machines, I should say, these things fundamentally affect and change the way that we live our lives. And that got me thinking about the question for next week, which is going to be this. Which low-tech device can you not live without? Right? So, and it might just be, like I say, a machine, a mechanical device. It doesn't necessarily have to be a gadget per se. It doesn't even have to be electronic if you don't want it to be. But this is about you guys personally. It's not about anybody else. What device, what low tech, and by low tech I mean not cutting edge technology, not something that requires a ton of silicon, right? What low tech device, non cutting edge, low tech device could you not live without, and why? As always, tell us why. So there you have it. That is the Weekly Ringer. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed our little tour through the work of John Williams this week. Thanks for the contribution as always, and I can't wait to see what you guys come up with for next week. That was the Weekly Ringer, and I am the Commodore from the Clan of the Grey Wolf, and there is no reset button.